Hey everybody, welcome back to Hawkeye Skunk Works. I apologize if I look hot and sweaty. It's because I am hot and sweaty. Because I've been working on this thing non-stop and we're about to Raptor line it. So let's get to it. So, I apologize there's going to be a gap in videos leading up from the last video to this point because I literally have been working until midnight on this thing. We're going on a camping trip this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and we're taking the camper and we're going to take this. We weren't originally going to, but we decided to. So I've been trying to get it ready, and I've done quite a bit. I got all the rust out like you saw earlier, but I've made patch panels, and I'll be the first to admit that a lot of this is a little redneck, but that's kind of the idea behind this build. Cheap, simple, quick and easy. But I promise to go over everything in detail when it's done, or at least done with this and back from camping. We'll talk about everything. I've got my compressor, my little compressor hooked up to my big compressor to use as a expansion tank, and then the switch on my little compressor is going bad, so I have to jump it with a screwdriver. So I'm hoping it will last. It's already after 8 o'clock. I got to do 2 coats with 60 minutes in between. I hope I have enough material. I'm going to start out with it at full mix, just the mix, shake, and shoot. I'm going to start at the back at the bottom where I want some more texture, and then I plan to dilute it to reduce it by about 10% as I work my way up, so it's a slightly smoother finish and hopefully make the material go further. So I've got it all sanded down, wax and grease remover, and I'm ready to put some paint on this thing. So I'm gonna start. I'm probably gonna hit my time lapse there in the corner once we really get rolling, and I'll touch base with you when it's all over. As you can see, I think you can see, it is bedlined now, but I ran out of material. At 4 quarts, 4 liter kit, and then I reduced it by 10% even, and I still didn't get all of the roof. I didn't get the tailgate at all, and I wasn't even doing the hard top either. The driver's side, I almost got 2 full coats. Everything else pretty much is 1 coat, and except for the tailgate, which is nothing. Oh, sorry. Things that I've learned so far. I should have reduced it more than what I was planning, so I didn't have enough reducer. And I used the gun that comes with it. It's missing the nozzle right now because it's cleaning. Great for doing a bed or like rockers or something, but even with kind of like the recommended directions on how to get it smooth-ish, it's not nearly as smooth as I would have liked. So I really wish that I would have picked up a cheap Hvlp gun and reduced it like 30%, maybe 50%, and laid it on real thin. But I mean, the body wasn't perfect on this to begin with, so it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go inside and get online, maybe overnight some stuff here because it's only like 10 bucks. Get another kit. I've got enough color. I can get some reducer tomorrow, spray it, and then yeah, we should still be good, but it just sucks, you know. Anyway, we'll cut this out. We'll pick it back up when I go to finish it. And that, unfortunately, is the end of swing around and get some better light. The filming I did while I was painting. I was so under the gun time-wise, and I really needed to just pay attention to what I was doing rather than trying to film everything, so I apologize for that. But right now we're going to go ahead and talk about how I did everything I did, all the kind of the brass tacks, and the equipment I used. So let's start with the equipment. Let's look at air compressor. Now this is definitely not an ideal setup. I have my big compressor here, which this stuff I don't want to talk about right now because that's, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. And then I have this other little direct drive Coleman 4 horsepower, 7.5 gallon compressor that actually works really good. It goes up to, it's set at 120 psi. So what I did was I have a little jumper hose there, so I connected the two together. So I have, I don't even know how many gallons this is, 15-ish, 20 I suppose, so 20-25 gallons worth of air, which probably is technically not enough. And then I've got 50 foot of hose there. Now what I did with that was, since I painted at night, I actually just threw the 50 foot outside and draped it on the ground to help cool the air charge before I sent it inside here and hooked it up to another pressure regulator and an oil water separator. I did that because everything that I've read about painting says you should really have 50 feet in between basically your tank and your filter to allow the pressurized air to cool down, so that it can actually be separated. So that's why I did that. And then 20 or 25 foot of hose to my paint gun, which again is basically what I've researched that said you don't really want to push any more hose than that after your filter. Now your results may vary. Actually, it worked fairly good for me. I started with the shoots gun that came with the kit, and that lays down a nice texture. I ran about 30 psi at the gun with my regulator. This is the regulator I used. It's just a cheap Harbor Freight one, so who knows how accurate it is. But another water filter, got that from the auto body supply, and 30 psi. I started with that with the shoots gun, and then after I ran out of paint, after I ran out of Raptor liner, I decided to go grab a Hvlp gun. This is a Harbor Freight gun. That's the 2-gun kit. And I did that because that was the only one that came with a 1.8 tip. And something I found out, some of you guys can read that or not, it says 1.4 there, but that is just the outer part. Come to find out, the inner part is switchable to 1.8, but nothing says 1.8, typical Harbor Freight. But that's what it is, and it actually worked pretty good. And we'll talk about that more later when we go actually do some close-ups of the Raptor liner. So that's what I used. 2 compressors tied together, 50 foot of hose to my regulator slash filter, another 25 feet of hose to the gun, and then I started with the shoots gun, which is definitely a more textured finish, and then I went to the Hvlp gun, which I really wasn't happy with that finish either, but I think that's more of my inexperience with everything, and I need to dial it down or dial it in more. So let's go get some close-up shots of the Raptor liner on the truck, and then we'll talk about more about mixtures and stuff like that. Alright, now we can talk a little bit more in detail. I started with a 4-liter tintable kit. I got my color base from my local auto paint supply store, and which ended up being quite a bit cheaper. I got double the amount of tint that I needed for that 4 liters for half the price of what it would have been to get it from Amazon, which worked out really well because I ended up needing 8 liters of Raptor liner. So I started at the bottom on the rockers all the way around, just mixing it straight up with the hardener and the color. Because I knew that was going to go on the roughest texture, which is what I wanted at the bottom, and kind of up around the wheel wells where I had the rivets. And then I mixed that at a 20% solution, 20% reducer, approximately. And then I did the rest of the body with the shoots gun at that approximate 20% reduction. And I say approximate because it ended up being 1 pint of reducer to 4 liters of Raptor liner, and I just kind of eyeballed the pint can as I poured it in, which is not real scientific at all. So I did that, and that's when I ran out of material. I got about 1.5 coats on everything. I did not get anything on the tailgate at all, and the texture, it's been raining, try and show you guys, is not too bad. I was hoping for something slightly more uniform, slightly less rough than this. It's not jagged or anything. I could wash this with a sponge and then wipe it off with a microfiber cloth and it would be fine. But if we go over to here, and I know the lighting's not the greatest, but you should still be able to tell. Here's the finish. Try and get it to focus. It's definitely smooth, but in my opinion, it almost just kind of looks like somebody tried to give their truck a paint job, but did a really bad job. It doesn't look like smooth bed liner, so I don't know. I'm not super happy with that. How I did the tailgate was I picked up an Hvlp gun that I showed you earlier from Harbor Freight and mixed that at I want to say it was 30%. It was 250 milliliters of reducer per liter of Raptor liner, and about 25 psi on the Hvlp gun. It kind of just went on like regular paint. It was pretty thin, and I kind of want something in between the outside and the tail, or the sides and the tailgate as far as texture goes. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is I still need to do the inside of the tailgate, the roof, the actual hardtop roof, the center of it needs to be done, and there's a few spots that I've noticed now in the daylight that I could touch up a little bit, so I'll probably just kind of brush over the whole thing with Scotch-Brite real quick, mix up a batch in my Hvlp gun, and give it another light coat just to fill in and even everything out. And then I will probably go over the tailgate with the Schutz gun to even the texture out, just so everything matches, and I will do the roof. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I've seen videos of guys doing Hvlp guns at the texture that I want, and like I said before, I think it's just a practice thing. That's really what it boils down to. Overall, really happy. It's been super tough and durable. I can just hose it off and it cleans up pretty good. I think the one thing that I was surprised was, and it probably boils down to my lack of experience, was the coverage. You know, this is 8 liters. I didn't do the fiberglass top. I didn't do the roof, and I didn't do a color change. It was red on red, and it's kind of weird. There's some show-through spots that looks like it was black underneath. I don't understand that. The best tip that I can give you is find a local auto body paint supply store that will talk to you, and hopefully that deals in Raptor liner. I've been in several paint supply stores over my years of dealing with cars, and since I'm not a professional, the problem I run into is either people don't want to talk to me because I'm not in the industry, or the people that work there, they're just working the counter. They don't know anything more than I do. So I got really lucky. We have a new paint supply store in town. They're familiar with Raptor liner, and they don't care that I'm not a paint professional. They really help me out a lot with my color, with my reducers, stuff like that. And they priced their kit for me, and I told them, I'm sorry, I got to buy it off Amazon because it's way cheaper. And they were totally cool with that. So I bought all my other supplies from them, mixing buckets and tape and gloves and stuff. And so find yourself a great auto body paint supply store to help you with questions, because there's so many different things that have to do with the chemicals and how they can mix and stuff that I don't understand. So I hope that was a help to you guys. Like I said, Schutz gun, started at the bottom, no reducer, 20% reducer with the Schutz gun, did the rest of it, moved on to the Hvlp gun at 30% reduction, which did work good as a top coat over my texture, just to help fill in the show through, or the bleed through. And that's probably what I'll do again on the already pre-textured stuff. And then, I stapled up some paper and some cardboard in my garage. I played with my air pressures, a little bit, and my fan pattern. I highly recommend you do that. I'm gonna wrap the video up now. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave comments below. Email me, hawkeyeskunkworks@gmail.com. Follow me over on Instagram. I'm the most active there. You will have seen this done, several weeks in advance on Instagram before this video will come out. Follow me over on Facebook, Twitter, and again, thanks a lot for checking the video out. Hope it was a help. You know, stay tuned. I've got more videos being made for this. I've got more videos getting ready to be made for the Jeep. Got basically almost all the parts that I need. I'm going to do axle swaps, more suspension upgrades, and I'm really looking forward to that. I got more videos on the Explorer coming. So, I get a lot of people asking me where the Explorer is. It's still here, the wife drives it, and we still enjoy that. So, give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe, and as always, thank you, and stay tuned for more great content. See ya.